Professor Mahmood Yakubu has been sworn in for a second term as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. President Buhari had in October written to the Senate to confirm Yakubu's appointment. On Tuesday last week, the Senate confirmed his appointment as chairman of the electoral body, a development the former executive secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund described as a privilege. The swearing-in took place just before the start of the 27th virtual Federal Executive Council meeting, where a 1-minute silence was observed in honor of military officer late General Domkat Bali, who served as Minister of Defense and member of the Supreme Military Council between 1984 and 1985. On October 27, 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari reappointed Yakubu as chairman of INEC for another 5-year term, making him the first person to be handed a second tenure as head of the commission. The federal government has postponed the negotiation meeting earlier scheduled for Wednesday with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. The postponement was contained in a message from Charles Akpan, Deputy Director, Minister of Labor and Employment. According to the message, the meeting between ASU and the federal government, earlier scheduled for Wednesday by 3 p.m., has been postponed. Recently, the Minister of Labor and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, had announced that government had agreed to make available 70 billion naira for earned allowances, which include other 3 university-based unions and the Revitalization Fund. Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma chapter, has threatened that the teeming students of the state-owned university will not resume studies with other students in public universities in the country when the ongoing nationwide strike is suspended. In a statement in Benin City on Wednesday, the university's chapter of ASU expressed its strong resolve to continue with the ongoing strike if salaries, including all arrears of salaries, check of dues, and other sundry deductions are not paid up to date before the end or suspension of the lingering nationwide strike by the union in public universities in the country. The union, in the statement jointly signed by Dr. Monday Igbafen and Dr. Anthony Aizebioje Koka, the chairperson and secretary of ASU, AAU, Ekpoma, respectively, recalled its severe efforts to get the university administration to set off or settle the arrears of more than 3 months' salaries and more than 8 months' arrears of check of dues and other sundry deductions, which the union estimates at more than 1.3 billion naira. The union strongly advised that the salary crisis in the university should, in this period of nationwide strike, be sorted out to avoid the continual keeping of students of the university at home after the end of the nationwide strike. Coming up in a moment on our Extra Voices, the growing number of gas plants and petrol stations has become a talking point due to the danger it poses on residents. Details in a moment after this break.
In the ever-revolving world of news, one story becomes extinct the moment another major story breaks.
Market women don't know whether they be anything.
But with KUFM's Extra Voices, the story never dies. It just takes on a new life.
Market meho. There is no water in the house. The toilet is not good.
We don't have any fashion in APC.
We bring you new angles and fresh perspectives to every story, no matter how old or remote.
There are a lot of educated people that are involved in politics nowadays.
We go a little beyond the surface to get you those extra details ignored in the rush for the news.
Now bridge, now we take the entire now.
Some don't die for inside.
We go beyond the lines to bring extra voices, not just for those making the stories.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But for those affected by the stories.
I've lost 1 bag of rice. Documents.
So it's a real disaster.
With Extra Voices, we add new flavor to give fresh perspective and taste to an old story. Extra Voices airs every Wednesday and weekends on KUFM's major news bulletins.
sighting of liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) stations in residential areas are becoming a source of worry to many Benin residents. The people living close to these gas stations have expressed fears about the possible explosion and the resultant loss of lives. In 2018, a gas explosion at Ugbo in GRA claimed 2 lives, including that of the manager of the gas station. KFM Extra Voices reports that most of these residents were of the view that the sighting of the gas stations close to their houses posed danger to their health.
Somewhere at Ekewa Road, Benin City on Tuesday, 1st December 2020, a petrol tanker discharging its contents caught fire inside a popular filling station. It took the intervention of workers and youth within the area to put up the fire, but that was not before it caused a little harm. Manager of the affected filling station, Theophilus Ehiosun, who was visibly disturbed, said the fire ignited when the petrol tanker discharged its content in one of the storage tanks.
I presume that maybe the flame of the fuel and the heat of the sun are contact together, to my own knowledge, because there was nothing there, no spark, nothing, no iron to iron. So the thing got like a mystery to me. Minor, not major. 2 of my workers got burned, though they rushed to hospital.
So thank God, the entire community people, they join out to make sure they put out the fire. So God be the glory. If not for their cooperation, Almighty God, the whole community would have been in a state of disaster.
Some of those who helped in putting out the fire thank God, while blaming the government for giving approval for siting filling stations and gas stations in residential areas.
Why is gas? Because gas is even more dangerous than the fuel, because this one is here. If similar something like what just happen in a situation like this one will be worse than this, because this one is here. And this one is free from this one.
The truth of the matter is that all filling stations are supposed to have fire extinguisher. I know it expired. They're supposed to check it in a routine. Every time that you will check the fire extinguisher.
This experience easily reminds one of a similar gas plant explosion at Ugbo village area of Benin City in February 2018, which claimed 3 lives, leaving several others with severe burns injuries. Lately, it has become common to come across cooking gas plants and fuel stations springing up within residential areas, sometimes in densely populated areas in Benin City. For instance, along the Ekewa Road, close residential area is a fuel station and a gas plant station at Plymouth Road, built in the middle of a residential and business zone. This business owner, who identifies himself as Peter, says working during the day near the gas station could be frightening, as the highly inflammable liquid poses a great danger to those living around.
You wake up every day and sleep every day with a great apprehension, but there's really nothing or little you can do about it, because these people, I believe, they operate with a license. So if the regulatory body issued a license to them, it just shows that the citizens don't have a say, because nobody asked any question before this license was issued to this plant very close to the house. In short, the distance between the fence and where we are talking from is actually less than 6 feet. So you can imagine how close we are to the hazard.
Meanwhile, the youth were angry with men of the Federal Fire Service who came to the scene of the fire incident after they had put out the fire.
We start calling the fire extinguisher, they did not come. But at the end of the day, after we finished, we managed to off the thing. But we thank God that God had made sure everything was okay. After the thing was, we tried to off the thing. Before we now saw they were coming. That is the reason I'm angry. That means we don't have any. We called them for more than 30 minutes. There was nothing that was being done. Now they are here. Now they are feeding everything around. What are they doing here? I've already off everything.
But what are the regulatory requirements for siting gas or fuel stations in cities? Extra Voices spoke with Benin Operation Controller of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, Engineer A.B. Ogewon. The DPR is the federal government agency responsible for the approval of gas and petrol stations before construction. Engineer Ogewon told Extra Voices that approval mechanism is a chain process which begins with Site Suitability Assessment (SSA).
If anybody wants to set up an LPG plant of between 0.1 to 10 metric tons capacity, it is expected that from that LPG tank that they want to set up to the boundary of the nearest residential building, they must maintain a distance of minimum of 30 meters to create a safety buffer.
He also spoke on the location of liquefied petroleum gas stations in residential areas in city centers.
The federal government has a policy of deepening gas penetration all over the country. After we must have licensed an LPG plant in a place and has started operating, we have constraints to be going about monitoring development as they are coming in to these areas and coming closer to the LPG plants where they are located. We do not have control over that, of course. That is where we will need the support of the respective state Ministry of Urban Development. So it is with that we need to actually sit down and educate, probably where they are not aware of some of the provisions of our safety rules in our guidelines.
With the rapid pace of urbanization, which sees new structures constantly springing up everywhere, every time, regulatory agencies apparently needs to be many steps ahead in the planning process and ensure strict adherence to city layout plans. Otherwise, a gas plant today could be a populated neighborhood tomorrow. For KUFM's Extra Voices, Lemedum Asagwaram.
Coming up in a moment on our entertainment news, Davido's first female signing and DMW First Lady Leah releases second single, Melo. Still on to news break on KU 92.7 FM on entertainment. Nigerian singer Davido's first female artist and DMW's first lady, Leah, released her second single on the label, Melo. The song is the actualization of a regal picture which Davido posted on his social media page some weeks ago. The Nigerian superstar also made a cameo in the colorful video opposite the gorgeous Leah. On 2nd of October 2020, Nigerian superstar announced the signing of Leah. A few weeks prior to that, the talented soprano released the Afro-pop single, Be My Vibe. This comes after DMW has signed acts like Lil Frosh, Ayamfe, Dendi, and King Aja over the past 1 year. Meanwhile, Davido has lost his private bodyguard, Ogbede Olamilekan, also known as TJ. According to reports, TJ had been ill and died in the early hours of yesterday. Davido confirmed TJ's death on Wednesday on his social media pages. The superstar also shared a blank, dark background image to confirm the loss and express his sadness over the sudden death. Tijani is survived by his wife and children. And that's the news, but before we go, a quick recap of the headlines. INEC chairman sworn in for second term. Federal government postpones meeting with ASU. On today's Extra Voices, residents lament over rising number of petrol and gas plants within residential areas. Do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget, you can also listen to us anywhere in the world by visiting our website at www.kufm.net or download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. We're also live on YouTube at KFM Nigeria, and you can also listen to us on radiogarden.com. KFM KUFM News Break was produced by Nosakai Wadai. I am Benjamin Kadiri. Thanks for listening. Good evening.
Seconds. There is a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work, families, and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break from Nigeria and across the world. We would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
It's the KU Drive Time Show.
Oh my God. It be like sick, won't tell us what to do. To Baba Dega, plus Soli Baba Dega. Sabaka Bada 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 Don't be smoking. Don't be smoking. Don't be smoking. I said don't be smoking. Don't be smoking. Don't be smoking. Hey. Looking back to all the years that you and I have spent together, it seems like you've been playing me all alone. So many times you asked me to put the whole of my trust in you. So many times you betrayed me and played me for a fool. Why don't we work together so the future will be brighter? Cause it be like you and I, we didn't need each other